Seeing the clouds gather, it's best I let you in. No reason to slow down, resistance growing thin. I have my rules about me, this time I'll let you in. Get fixed on forming a wall. It could be hell coming down, let it melt and soak into my skin.
Let us speak of the mud, not the metaphorical soil of history, but the literal blood-soaked clay of Tennessee in 1862. The Battle of Shiloh was not a clash of heroes, it was a meat grinder. Over 23,000 casualties in 48 hours. Traditional history books focus on generals Grant, Johnson, Beauregard, but they forget the corpus vitae, the worthless body, the boys, some barely 17, who didn't die instantly. They lay in a place called the Peach Orchard and the Sunken Road, listening to the rain turn the earth into a grave before they were even in it. Dolor tibi prodarit oim. The pain will be useful to you one day. But for these men, there was no utility, only the encroaching hypothermia. The night was freezing. The rain was relentless, and as their body temperatures plummeted, the veil between the living and the dead began to thin. And then the impossible happened. Imagine the silence of a battlefield at 2 a.m., broken only by the wet gasp of the dying. Suddenly, a flicker, a soft, neon turquoise light begins to pulse from a torn shoulder, in a thigh, in a stomach. By dawn, hundreds of men were glowing like ghosts. To the Victorian mind, this was gratia divina, divine grace. They called it the angel's glow. The soldiers believed they had been marked for salvation. They lay there, cradling their glowing wounds, watching the light dance in the dark like cold fire. The traditionalists will tell you this was a story of hope. They want you to believe that the universe intervened to save these brave boys. But we know better, don't we? We know that in the crypt of history, light is rarely what it seems. These angels were not from heaven. They were Photer habdis luminescens, a bioluminescent bacterium that lives inside the gut of a parasitic worm, the nematode. These worms hunt in the soil. When they find a host, they vomit this bacteria into the wound. The bacteria then produces an antibiotic to kill off the competing germs, essentially cleaning the meat so the worm can feast in peace. Mors esquies vietoris. Death is the traveler's rest. The only reason these men lived is because they were so close to death that their bodies were cold enough for a parasite to survive. The angel was the scavenger. The glow was the byproduct of a worm's dinner. This is the central contradiction of the human condition. We credit the divine for what the lowly and the foul actually provide. We ignore the mud because we want to see the sky, but the mud is where the survival is. This event matters because it exposes the fragility of our myths. It proves that the most noble survivor is often tied to the most grotesque reality. We are saved not by the light of the Spirit, but by the light of the rot. Et lux in tenebris lucet. And the light shines in the darkness, but tonight, we know light is just hungry. The candle burns low, and the shadows in the corner of the crypt grow long. We have exhumed the truth of Shiloh, but the earth is vast, and many more skeletons remain dressed in their finery of lies. If you find solace in these dark corners, if you prefer the cold clarity of the worm to the blinding heat of the myth, then perhaps you belong here among the silent rows. Join the congregation of the curious. Subscribe to our archives and let the dust of the quiet crypt settle upon you. It is a small rebellion, perhaps, but a necessary one. Before you drift into the stillness, I ask you, what other miracles of history do you suspect are merely hunger in disguise? Leave your thoughts below. In this space, the contrary view is the only one that breathes. Until our next exhumation, stay in the shadows, for that is where the light truly begins. Farewell.